Hey, what is up, guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a market analysis of the recent sold listings of CGC cards on eBay and PSA cards. This is something I really just do for fun on my own time, so I'm like, why not share it on YouTube? Just have some fun, look at the prices. It's been how many months since the first Logan break? It's been a while. Time has flown, hasn't it? But we're just going to be looking at some of the prices. Maybe some of my own cards will prop up in here. I don't think so. My listings were, I think, like 5 days ago. But nonetheless, I'm going to be doing, very exciting to announce, a 15 card auction this upcoming Sunday as well. So we did one last Sunday. It was a ton of fun. There was like 50 people on stream on YouTube. And so I want to do it again and do with more cards. So that's exactly what we're doing. I'm really excited. So Sunday, 9 p.m. EST is when the cards will start going up for auction and when the stream will go live as well. But okay, let's get into it. So really, I just kind of like looking for outliers or looking at modern cards. That's the main thing I tend to deal with. And sometimes I know the prices of cards because I look at things so frequently. So like I can kind of compare how things have been doing to what they were in the past. But it's been a minute. So for instance, I have actually one of these. This is a card I'm going to be listing. It's the Pikachu VMAX from Vivid Voltage, the non-Rainbow Rare variant. However, I have one in a 9.5. So I quickly want to check if 130 point can show me the actual price. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this website, but basically it tells you what the actual price sold for. However, it goes down quite a bit. So it looks like it's down right now. Nonetheless, $65 best offer. You can assume it probably sold for around $45 to $50, which is pretty good. This card raw goes for about $30 right now. So honestly, after this guy paying for subgrades, he probably didn't do too well, which is kind of the thing with CGC. Like, you kind of have to play the long game and really play, either get lucky with auctions, or because sometimes people will bid each other up, or you just have to play the long game with sold listings, because sometimes the margins right now are not the best. I would say on average your margins are going to be about $10 to $20 profit. $20 is when you get a good card, especially these modern cards. This is interesting. A Neo Revelation Shining Magikarp, an 8.5. I'm curious why someone would send this to CGC, you know? Like, this is one of those cards where if I personally had it, there's 0% chance I'd send it to CGC. It got really good grades. Like, really, really good grades. It's actually very impressive as a card. I wonder if it would have gotten a PSA 8. A little bit of edging at the top right there. Not bad, though. $560. What does a PSA 9 go for? Let's actually take a look. This is something really fun to do as well. It's also really useful to do, in my opinion, which is kind of compare, you know, like, similar CGC grades to PSA grades. So okay, that's from Australia. So looks like people are trying to get $1,000 for it approximately, but let's see if there was a recent sold listing. Okay, so this is PWCC, which obviously jacked with the price a bit. Was the CGC one was first edition? Yeah, it was first edition. Okay, so it shows you how big a difference, right? Like, I know the other one was an 8.5, which is like a much worse grade than a 9. Sounds weird that I'm saying that. I know it's like, oh, what do you mean? What I mean is, like, people just look at it as worse, right? Like, 9's a pretty number. 8.5's ugly. Just is. Like, once something goes below a 9, I genuinely feel that most people don't see it as, like, a near mint card anymore. Even though technically, like, a 7.5 is near mint plus, right? Like, 7.5 means, like, the card's in great condition. But people don't look at it that way. And neither do I think they should. But yeah, so here's that card. Oh wait, no, this is a different one, I think. So this is a 9, but this is unlimited, so a little bit different. First editions tend to go for more. Okay, so yeah, definitely. I'm not gonna say a letdown. Like, I don't think this is some bad price, but you know, not the best. Once again, if you have any of these expensive cards, my general mentality with grading right now is basically vintage or expensive PSA, and then anything $100 or less, CGC. And sometimes, if it's like a card with good margins, if you submit it to PSA, like certain Charizards, even if it is like a $100 card, a $50 card, for instance, the I'm not gonna say Charizard VMAX because I actually sent all of mine to CGC, but like an Evo Charizard, I think you can profit from sending it to CGC, but I just don't think it's worth it. I think you're better off, even though that card is way overpopulated at PSA, I still think it's probably worth it in the long run, even in the short run, to just wait for PSA to chill a little bit. So at least that's what I'm doing. Next up, a couple vintage. I'm actually looking for some modern. Let's take a look for some modern. Looks like it's mostly vintage, which is kind of interesting. Definitely interesting. Okay, so we got a $75 for a Blastoise 9, but it was or best offer, so you don't really know. But PSA, no, I mean CGC 9 is not terrible. That's not bad. Really interesting one here. So we have a $40. Oh, this actually loaded. Oh, great. Okay, a second. Let me find the card because this website is so much better. Okay, $35. So what does this card go for raw? Let's quickly take a look at that. Because this could be pretty good. You know, the thing I've learned, it's not very surprising, but Pikachus and most importantly Charizards tend to have the best margins, and more often than not, it doesn't seem very close. Like, it really does seem... Charizard's kind of... It's like a beatdown, you know? Charizard just kind of destroys everything else. Okay, so let's find the card raw. $20. I don't think that's the actual price. This seems more about right. $8. Okay, anything else? $13. Okay, so let's say it's about a $10, $12 card, right? You can get it for cheaper if you get lucky, right? Something like this. $12, $12, $10. $10 card, okay? And then this guy sold a 9.5. To be fair, 9.5 is a great grade for CGC. So let's assume he paid $9 to grade it after fees and such, and then eBay fees. He's probably coming home with $10, which is like, you know, for a 9.5, not the best, right? For a 9.5, considering, you know, how good of a grade that is, which is kind of the problem, because it is the biggest problem with CGC when it comes to flipping, which is why I personally see CGC as much more of like a, just throw your bulk in there and hope for the best type of deal, because you compare it to this, not this, you compare it to this, no, this, a PSA 10 of the same card, $92. And that CGC 9.5, if you sent it to PSA, I would be willing to argue would easily get a 10. Or not easily, but would likely get a 10. And so, yeah, like, it's just rough, right? That's just rough. I mean, think about it. It's almost triple for practically the same card. And the thing is, I don't know how this guy got it submitted, though, right? Like, I actually think CGC 9.5s will go up in value a little bit. Maybe not in the short term, but I think in the long term. If CGC holds on, I think 9.5s will do very well in the long term. Just because they just seem undervalued right now. It's just not a 10 is the problem. It's just ugly. It's the same thing I was saying with like the 8.5s. It's just ugly in comparison. And so... Alright, so let's look at the next card. So we have Slowpoke First Edition Fossil Mint 8.5. So this is a vintage, you know, it's technically a vintage card. What set is this? I think it's Neo something, right? Oh, no, it's... I just read it was Fossil, and then I said it's Neo. Okay, so it's Fossil. Definitely seems... I mean, I don't want to say it's low, because it's a Slowpoke. What even rarity is this card? That was a common. Okay, so it's not surprising. It's just a common, right? Like, what I've noticed about these, like, more vintage cards is if you actually get one of these, like, even an 8.59, people pay for them. And I think rightfully so, right? Because there's not necessarily... I don't want to say there's not a lot of, like, good condition vintage bulk, because think about it. Like, these packs were, I think, like, $40-50 not too long ago. Light packs, that is. And so it's not really unlikely that these are uncommon, but they don't tend to get great grades, so especially if you get a 9, honestly, it's not bad, right? Considering this common card is probably... What even is this common card? First... What even is this worth? $7. You never know the real problem is you never know the condition of these type of cards, right? Like, this guy says near mint. Could be near mint. It's got like a black dot on the right. Is that normal? I'll check in a bit. It's got like a bit of a scuff mark right in the middle there. The back, see, this would not get it. I mean, I don't think it would get an 8.5. It's definitely a bit scuffed, you know. So that's the thing. I actually think like people paying up for these 9s is pretty reasonable, because there isn't necessarily that many raw cards that you can buy that would get that grade. At least that I find on eBay. It's like hard to find them. From my experience. For instance, this one, it's like $4. Like, this card's hideous, right? Like, it's just ugly. So, you know, I think it's pretty reasonable that like an 8.5 would go for $20. It seems about right, even for a common card. Definitely seems about right. All right, let's look at two more, and then we're gonna head over to PSA. This is kind of an interesting one. $25 for a 9.5. It is with subgrades though, so this guy paid up. He paid at least 14. I mean, at most, no, at least $14 if he submitted this when CGC was at the lowest price. So this is not a good grade. I don't know why. See, this is my thing. It's definitely a mistake in my opinion, especially now with how the prices are, to submit any of these like mid-tier items with subgrades. I just don't think it's a good idea at all, because I don't think people pay for them. Unlike lower end cards, I don't think people really care. At least from what I've seen, people don't care, from my personal experience. Now, that's like a sample size of, I would say, like 40, 50 cards, which is pretty decent. And from all the research that I've done, people don't really seem to care. Oh, this is actually a card I think I'm putting up on auction, I believe. So this is a Victory Bell. I believe this is a rare or an uncommon. Is it a rare? Yeah, it's a rare. So, like, for instance, this is an 8.5. Same thing, 8.5. I think I'm putting up I'm putting up an 8.5. CGC loves to give these, like, rare pack fresh cards, or just pack fresh vintage cards, 8.5s for whatever reason. I guess that's just what they think the grade should be. But, okay, so $30. Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. So if you have these vintage rare cards, hold on to them, keep them in good condition, and then just submit them with no subgrades when the price drops a little bit, and you'll do well. You can make 10, 20 bucks on them, which is why I think, like, a good strategy, honestly, for a lot of guys, if you're trying to make profit, is, I mean, you're still going to have to wait for prices to drop, which I think grading prices will drop, especially if graded card prices drop. But then my strategy is just going to be to wait out the storm. I love grading cards. I love the experience. And so in particular, what I want to do is I'm going to buy up raw cards now. And if they continue to drop in price, I'll continue to buy them, especially vintage pack fresh stuff, if I can find it. And I'm just going to grade it when the prices go down. Even if the prices of the graded cards go down, I'm just going to keep grading and then wait it out. And if it goes back up, it goes back up. If it doesn't, I'll sell them. I'll either go even or make $5 per card or something like that. If I end up losing some money, okay, it is what it is. I'm definitely going to take the risk, though, because I see a lot of potential. Just when people come back into the scene, let's say, a year from now, people happen to come back in the scene 3 years from now. These are the cards, like, just anything vintage that just, like, bring back memories, especially these, like, really old cards. And that's the people with money right now, all the 30-year-olds. No offense. I don't know why I said no offense. There's nothing to take offense to, but... All right, last one. Interesting. Decidueye 9 with subgrades selling for $41. It's honestly not a bad price for a 9. Hidden Fates card. This card raw is, like, what? I think it's, like, a $10, $15 card. I can't spell this thing. Decidueye. Did I spell it perfect? Oh, my God. English God here. Okay, let's see what it sells for. I think it's 10 or 15 bucks. Yeah. Okay, so 10 bucks for a 9. Getting 40 bucks. It's good. It does have subgrades though, so like maybe that plays a part, but as I said, I feel like it usually doesn't. Let's quickly check if the subgrades are good subgrades though, cuz sometimes if you get like quad 9 or 10-9-9 type of thing, it can up the value. So let's see what this guy got. Oh, where'd it go? Okay. So this could be a big part. It's got that suck. Whew. That it does suck, right? Like you get one 8.5 and you don't get a 9, like you don't even get a 9.5. That's rough. But I can see why someone would pay up for this. The centering is bad, to be fair, to give CGC some credit. The front centering is not good. The top is obviously off. The back looks pretty good actually, but the front centering doesn't look great. Back's a little bit off. But yeah, 2 10s on the subgrades. That's when people care. But it's so uncommon to get 10s. It really is. Like, this is an outlier card. So I can see why this guy, made some money. But it shows potential. Once again, I wouldn't pay for subgrades. I'd rather pay 10 bucks for this card, get it graded for another 10, assuming that's the price, or 8 or 9, right? Pay 9 bucks and then make $10 or make $15 instead of banking on getting an extra $5 or $10 because of lucky subgrades. And so that's how I see CGC. Unless they were easier with their subgrades, I'm not going to go for subgrades, because if you just get a bunch of 9s, or like 9, 8.5, 8, then it almost seems to take away from the card to some extent. And I have heard that people even believe that it does take away from the card to some extent. Like, people think subgrades just make it more distracting. I don't know how popular of an opinion that is. I just have heard that that's a thing. So I don't know if you guys agree or disagree with that. Like, do you think subgrades? That's a good thing to comment on. I think it's an interesting take. Do you guys think subgrades are take away from the card or clutter the card, or you think they're just really cool and allow you to like enjoy the card even more, like just pay more attention to finer detail? Because I definitely think it's something to think about. Okay, let's look for some cards I actually know stuff about. Whoa, okay. How much is this card raw? 125 for it. I know it's a 10. I know Snorlax this Snorlax VMAX is probably one of the most popular Snorlax cards. It's a beautiful card. It really is cool. Incredible art. I love this art. If you guys aren't familiar with this one, it's a Sword and Shield full art. It just looks fantastic. He's just got like some island on his belly. It's really cool. Absolutely massive. But what is this card raw? Snorlax VMAX Sword and Shield. I shouldn't have typed it in like that. Sword. Okay. I think it's 142, right? $30. That's what I'm talking about, man. I don't know. Why is this card so cheap raw, but people are trying to sell it for so much? Okay, so this guy's not. He knows. He got an 8.5. He's like, frick it, I'm just going to try to get rid of it. But okay, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. 10s, dude. That's why PSA is just the way to go. If you're trying to flip, you just got to wait. Even $20 a card, you just got to wait and pray for 10s. I feel like that's just the name of the game, to be honest. It's just like even this card, you know? Like, this is like a $10, $15 card, right? It used to be cheaper. It used to be like $2. I have like a ton of them. Or had a ton of them. I think I submitted a bunch of PSA or CGC. Probably both. But, it just seems to be the name of the game, because it's just like, even if you get a 9, for instance, like, this is like a common card 9. This guy gets a 10, he gets $80, right? He gets a 9, it's like 37. Even if you submitted this card for $20, you know? I mean, if you have to wait a long time, the argument against it is like, oh, but, you know, you could have put your money somewhere else. And that's true, right? That's true. For instance, like, if you're really good at flipping cards, you're really good at, like, buying raw, selling raw, buying graded, selling graded, like, just quick flips. Yeah, I don't think then it's probably the best strategy to, like, grade and wait. But if you don't want to put in, like, some extreme amount of work, like, for instance, this is not my main job. Like, Pokemon for me is a side hobby. I love doing it. I love it. And I love like, grading's my favorite thing. But, I don't necessarily want to put in a ton of time to, like, look for deals on eBay and pay attention to every auction that happens and, you know, that type of thing. I don't. I like it, but I don't want to put all my time into it. I'm sure a lot of you guys are in the same position. And that's why I think, like, just taking a bunch of cards, sending them to PSA and waiting. And I know people hear that and they're like, oh, but prices are going to drop and all this pessimism. I get it. I get the pessimism. I just look at how big PSA is. Pokemon is. The fact that it came out, 20 years ago? Became popular in America 20 years ago. It's been 20 years. Like, that's just not even that much time. Right? Like, people with money, think about it. The older people get, the more money they typically have. Right? And so most of the people right now that spend money in Pokemon are 35, 40. Of course, there's exceptions like, you know, King Pokemon and I'm sure a ton of other people. Maybe even some of you guys watching this video. But I would say on average, it's like 30-year-olds, 30, 35, right, that are doing all this stuff. What happens when they come 40, 45? Their net worth is it's exponential. Typically, it's exponential, right? And so they're going to have even more to pay, right? 10 years from now, you're going to have a whole new generation of 30 and 35-year-olds. I'm going to be 32 10 years from now, right? I'm going to have so much more money, I hope. I will have, you know, so much more money, and I'm going to be able to just buy whatever graded card I want. And so that's just how I see it. Pokemon's such a big brand. I think it's only going to continue to grow, or at least just do well. And so, yeah, like, I think the name of the game to play long term is just send your cards to PSA, even if it's $20 a card. If it ever goes to 10, which I don't think it will ever again, if it ever goes around there, which I do think it will go to 20 again, yeah, just playing the long game with PSA seems to be the way to go. CGC, I think if it goes back to $8 a card, which it might to compete with PSA, because the thing is, CGC's at 15 right now. If PSA goes to 20, CGC will never get a card. Never get a card. They'll never get a card, except for like niche collectors who just happen to like CGC, right? But like, how many of those are there? I don't think it's that many. I think a lot of people like CGC because it was fast. Some people like the case, I know, but still, if you like the card and you want it for your collection, but you still want to flip it down the line, you're going to use PSA. And so, if PSA goes to 20, I think CGC is going to have to go to like 10 or 8 again. In which case, then I would consider submitting, once again, very low-end cards that I just want to have fun with and flip. Because I do love CGC for that reason. Like, I love the fact that in the time span in which I sent 400 PSA cards, I have gotten back a ton of CGC cards. And it's been a really fun journey. It's been you know, enjoyable. And for me, that's a big part of, like, doing this as well. But, all right, this video has been really long. I always do that. I'm like, oh, I just want to look at some prices, have some fun, and then end the video. And it becomes a rant. But I enjoy the rants. Hopefully you guys do too. I'll see you in the next one. I got some pizza to eat. You probably noticed randomly in the video I muted my mic. That was my mom giving me my pizza, giving me the pizza they just made. So shout out to my mom, and my dad and my sister. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.